Hey everyone, what's going on? My name is Colt, better known as PB Panda. I am a member of ODSC, and today I quickly want to go over some of the rules for Dominion, which is hosted by ODSC, as well as MagFed Only games. So, if you guys have any other questions about or want to be more specific about the rules, they will be in the description down below on this video, as well as on the Dominion Facebook page. So, let's get into it. Alright, so let's quickly go over this so that way it's quick and painless. So yeah, Dominion is going to be a MagFed only game happening in Southern California at Lake Elsinore at the field Paintball Jungle. Now, when I say MagFed only, that means MagFed only, which means your markers must use magazines. Pretty self-explanatory, and yet people still ask questions like, well, I got a stock glass gun and it shoots the little 10-round tubes and such. Is that okay? No, it has to use magazines. What happens if I use a speedball gun with a 50-round hopper? No, it has to use magazines. That's going to be the answer to every single one of those questions. It's not magazine fed. You're not allowed to play. It's pretty simple. Next is box mags. Those are some fields have very specific rules about box mags. At this event, you are allowed to use box mags, whether it be the Die Box Mag, the Rap4 Box Mag, or the new MILSIG Tempest Drum Mag. All those are allowed with regular paintballs magazines. Those are all fine and dandy. But one thing I do want to stress is that if you choose to use a box mag and you're the heavy gunner of your team and you just want to go ripping on that trigger, I will tell you guys right now that pods are not allowed on the field. Your pods are allowed at the CP and any of the resting areas or at your car, but you are not allowed to use pods on the field. So if you're going to be a box mag guy and you want to rip on that trigger, by all means you can, but just be ready that you're not allowed to carry pods on the field. Now you could carry like a box mag and then like 5 other box mags on your rig if you want to. By all means, that's fine. Just you can't refill the box mag you're using when it goes empty on the field. You have to get off the field to refill that. So there's that. Next is field FPS limits. The field feet per second limit is going to be set at 285. That's going to be with paintballs as well as first strike rounds. If you choose to use first strike rounds, your marker must be chronoed at 285. And if you're going to be one of those people that switch between paintballs and first strike rounds, like throughout the day, chrono with the first strike rounds. And if you choose to go to paintballs, if you want to re-chrono, by all means you can, just so you get that little extra 15 FPS that you lost from using first strike rounds, you can. But main thing is, if you use paintballs and your marker shoot at 285, but you choose to switch to first strikes later, you will need to re-chrono and lower that because first strike rounds do shoot about 15 FPS higher than a standard paintball does. Now, when it comes to paint, Domain is going to be a field paint only game event hosted, and the paint's going to be provided through MagFed Pro Shop. And the two kinds of paint that are going to be provided is going to be graffiti and first strike rounds. And don't think anybody should have any problems with that, since graffiti is the most commonly chosen paint to use when it comes to MagFed markers, as well as first strike rounds. Everyone knows that first strike rounds work very well with MagFed markers because it's designed for MagFed markers. At some fields around the world, you're allowed to use paintball mats as well as the airsoft mesh bottoms in some areas when it comes to paintball, but for this event specifically, as well as the park, you're not allowed to use those mesh bottoms when it comes to paintball games. So if you plan on coming out to this game and your setup it involves mesh, you better have a spare backup paintball mask. That way you can bring that one, because if you show up to the field with a mesh mask, you will not be allowed to use it, and you'll probably have to use like a rental mask or something, which kind of sucks because everyone prefers they're having their own personal mask. So if you bring like a mesh mask, just bring a paintball mask as well, because you will be told no, and then you'll have to switch to a paintball mask. So when it comes to grenades as well, I quickly want to touch up on the grenades. That is Most people you know of two kinds of grenades. There's going to be smoke grenades as well as paint grenades. Smoke grenades are not going to be allowed, and also, since I'm on it, a lot of people know about sound grenades. Sound grenades aren't allowed either, so smoke and sound grenades are not allowed at this event, strictly because of safety hazards. But if you ever see smoke on the field, then that is from the ODSC members or the refs of the field, and yeah, so if you ever see smoke, one of those guys, a member of ODSC or a ref, did that, and that's the only way that you'll see smoke on the field is by those guys. A player is not allowed to bring a smoke grenade onto the field on their person and use that during the game. So paint grenades, another thing is you are allowed to use paint grenades, but most people know the rules about paint grenades. Like if you throw it and it hits a bunker and it explodes, if there's people on the other side of the bunker, they are safe. But if you throw it inside of a building and it explodes, everybody inside of that building is killed. Another rule that goes with that is also launchers. If you bring something that shoots those little Nerf rockets or anything like that, you're only allowed to shoot solid targets such as buildings or walls. And if you hit a wall, everybody behind that wall is dead. Or if you shoot a building, everyone inside that building is dead as well. Also, for this event, gun hits do not count. So if you get shot in your gun, in your primary gun, you are still in. But if you're carrying a secondary on you, such as on your waist or your chest or wherever you carry your secondary, if your secondary is hit and it is on your person and you're not actively using it, that is considered out. So gun hits don't count only on your primary marker that you are using, whether it be your rifle, or if you put your rifle down, you pull out your pistol, and you're using that as your primary at that point, and that gets shot, you're fine. But if your secondary is holstered on your chest, waist, wherever it may be, and that gets shot, you're out. So blind fire and mouse holing, neither of those will be allowed. So for those of you guys who don't know, blind fire is when you're hiding behind a bunker and you're just shooting above it without looking at where you're shooting. Most people know what blind fire is, as well as mouse holing. It's basically you're not allowed to stick your barrel through like there's like a little hole like that big. You can't just stick your barrel through it and shoot. The only way that you could shoot through an opening in a wall is if it's man-made, such as like a window, or if someone purposely made a big old crack in the wall. You're allowed to shoot through that. But the easiest way to identify what you can and cannot shoot through is if your head or your marker can fit through it. If they can, then you shoot through it. If you can't, then that's going to be considered mouse holing and you cannot shoot through those areas. Another thing is that surrender is going to be an option for this event. So if you happen to come up on somebody and they're not paying attention, you could give them the option to surrender, but they don't have to accept it. So with that said, majority of the time whenever I get into those situations, majority of the time just pop them in the magazine holder or their tank or their back. No flesh or body parts or anything. If you shoot their vest or something, that's fine. But like I said, surrender roll is an option. That's personally what I do. People don't like it, but that is one way of knowing that I won't be turned around and get shot. So surrender roll is an option. They have the option of accepting it or not, and if they don't accept it, try to shoot them in the vest, whether it be the dump pouch, their tank, magazine, holsters, vest, anything like that. Don't try to get them in the face or neck, bare skin, or anything like that, because that would just hurt. So two kinds of contact that we wanted to also emphasize is the difference between soft contact or anything physical. Now, what I mean by soft contact is if you run and you barrel tag somebody or you knife somebody, that's going to be allowed. That's going to be completely fine. But if anything were to get out of hand, where some physical aspect of, whether that be a fist fight or anything like that, that is not allowed. If that happens, then you're going to be basically kicked off for a short time given an infraction, and you're allowed 3 infractions. And after 3 infractions, you'll be kicked off. You're not allowed to play for the rest of the weekend, no refund. But try to keep a cool head and not try to do anything physical. Just try to talk it out, and majority of the time, if 2 people just talk it out, it will get sorted out. But try to avoid the physical contact at all cost. But that is most of the information. Now, for those of you guys who are flying out from outside of California, or you're traveling from Northern California or anything like that, and you need places to stay, there is a Best Western, 10 minutes south. If you right next to the field, the main highway freeway is 15. So if you take the 15, you go 10 minutes south, there's going to be like a Best Western, there's a Denny's, Walmart, In-N-Out, all that kind of stuff. So it's like a little shopping center about 10 minutes south from there. So if you guys are planning on staying in a hotel, that is probably the closest and most recommended one that I found. Like, I Googled a bunch of different hotels, and that was the best rated, and the prices weren't too bad. It was about the same as all the other places. So if you plan on staying in a hotel, you are allowed to stay. I recommend staying there because also you have all the other stuff around there, such as restaurants such as Denny, there's Chase Bank, there's In-N-Out, and for those of you guys who've never been to California, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are very excited to have In-N-Out, and all that kind of other kind of stuff. But if you choose not to stay in a hotel and you want to camp, camping is allowed, but you're not allowed any bonfires or anything like that. And one thing that I do want to tell you guys, for those of you who have never been to this field, the ground is very rough and uneven. Like, if you drive into the park, the main road is very uneven. Your car, you feel like you're on the Indiana Jones ride, or you're in the Indiana Jones movie. We're just going like, da, 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 da. I know it's stupid, but that's what I think of every time I go down that road. So it's very uneven. In the back, there is smoother ground. So if you choose to camp, try to get further back, honestly, because that's where it's going to be the smoothest when it comes to the ground. And for those of you who plan on bringing like a tent and a sleeping bag and such. But if you bring like inflatable mattress or anything like that, or like one of those like fold up beds, I forgot what they're called, like those little things that you could just fold open and you place it on the ground and you're set to go. If you have one of those, then the ground shouldn't be a problem for you. But for those of you who just have the tent and sleeping bag, just letting you guys know, I recommend staying in the back, and because it's going to be a little bit more flat and more comfortable to sleep. But those are the two options for when it comes to staying. You could stay at the hotel. Like I said, I recommend the one that's 10 minutes south of the park, or you can camp out. Both are allowed. But that's really the gist of the rules, you guys. I appreciate that you stayed this long and listened to me jabber on about rules. Like I said, if you want more specifics on the rules, it's going to be in the description down below, as well as on the Facebook page. Link to that will be in the description as well. But hopefully you enjoy the video, and I look forward to meeting you all at Dominion next month. So, yeah, guys, that's about it, and I'll see you on the field. Later.